in 1821. 1800. A new constitution, Lei Fundamentale, gives Napoleon enormous power. It makes him consul for life. It gives him a lot of power written down in the constitution. In the most important law, a Lei Fundamentale, it is written down that Napoleon can start wars, is consul for life, and so on. What he can do is written down there, and it gives him enormous power. 1803. England, like his arch enemy, you could say, of Napoleon, declares a war on France over a minor disagreement. Yeah. But actually, what's behind it there is that England, of course, had a king, and Napoleon was someone who grabbed power. He did a putsch, we would say, and a machtsgreep. He did a grab to power and didn't like that. He wasn't the king. He was like a consequence of the French Revolution, and they didn't like him for that. 1805, the Battle of Trafalgar, France's naval fleet destroyed by the British. Napoleon was a very good fighter on land. He worked a lot with guns and big cannons. Yeah, and he was very innovative in fighting with armies and putting them on the battlefield in a smart way. But he was not that good in naval power. So the British defeated him in this. In this. 1812, Spanish anti-Napoleon rebels, so they're fighting against Napoleon, do a French-inspired constitution for their own country. Napoleon, at this point in time, had conquered large parts of Europe, or he had made them allies. Yeah, and the Spanish rebel, and they do like a mini French Revolution, and they want to govern their own country, and they pass their own constitution because of this. 1814, Napoleon abdicates. Abdicates means he steps down from his throne as emperor. That's what he was at that point in 1814, and is exiled for the first time, I believe, to Elba, an island close to Europe still. 1815, Napoleon loses the Battle of Waterloo in current Belgium, in nowadays Belgium, and this is his final battle as ruler of France. And 1821, 1815, second event. That's why there's a 1 at the other and a 2 at this one. I almost forgot. Napoleon is forced to abdicate, so he steps down second time from his throne, but he's forced this time, and this time he is banished to St. Helena, and that is an island in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. So he won't be able to escape from that. Yeah. And in 1821, Napoleon dies. He dies. Yeah. So here we have a timeline. Why did I put it up and down? Because then you have more space on your piece of paper and also on my PowerPoint. And with this, I made a timeline of Napoleon's reign. The second time I did, yeah, another thing I did was really compress the points that happened, the event that happened. Because if I have to write everything down, then the whole paper, whole timeline will be filled with the event. But it's important to do it sharply and not you don't have to write everything down, just the main point of what's happening. And sometimes you have to make it simpler, or you have to leave out stuff, or you have to make it like, yeah, simpler than it actually is. But it's a timeline and not an extensive description of each event happening. So make it simpler. Yeah? In Dutch, we would say vat het samen. And make it simpler, make it basic. Yeah? And, make a pointy description of each event on the timeline. I hope this helped. If you have other persons like Toussaint Louverture or like the abolition of slave trade. These are also good topics to make timelines about, because the timeline, one, you're forced to think about what is happening and putting them into a historical sequence. And while doing that, you're really, yeah, comprehending and understanding the topic. And that's, of course, very important.